Tony
All
V.
right. Welcome in, boys. We're going to recap a little week 8 and get into some week 9. It's been a couple weeks, man. How was the bye week and the double bye week and the vacation? And I missed you guys. Hadn't seen you.
We greatly missed you, Tony. And a couple of us have been kind of shaping up a little bit. I mean, you're talking to 3 people that are at the bottom of the Moose Knuckle standings, but we snuck in a couple wins during those bye weeks. So I'm feeling okay. Chris, you feeling okay?
Guys, I think the time off did us some well. We were able to kind of sit back, reset, actually look at our lineups instead of, going over fantasy football news. And like you said, I think Tony's got a 2-game lead off of, Sacco, and D, you jumped up to 10th, and I'm sitting up in playoffs, guys. I don't know if you looked. I'm in the 5th spot, so next couple weeks before our trade deadline, and we'll see who's going to be buying and who's selling. But I think we're in positions to make a run, and let's get after it.
Yeah, nicely said. Public service announcement there, as Chris mentioned. And the MFFL trade deadline is November 19th. So, yeah, we're going to, it just takes one, right, guys? One trade falls, and then I feel like the domino effect comes right after that. Everybody kind of jumps on it. So we'll see who makes a move here close to the deadline, and then everybody will be scrambling to get it in before midnight.
Agreed.
That was the definition of our prom night, scrambling to get it in before midnight.
There's many years when I start that trade, and that will not be me this year, unless I'm selling. Don't have a lot to sell, though. Hey, D, you wrote quick hits. You gonna do it, or?
Hey, let's get into the quick hits then. Your certified beef for the week. Oh, well, that was my violent beef swinging. So, hey, that doesn't happen very often, but, got a good look at myself in the mirror, walking over to the side, and it was just one of those weeks where I'm like, hey, the beef looks pretty good, right? 176.04 points, and a lot of that was due to, my dear friend, Christian McCaffrey, 42.5 points, and A.J. Brown putting up 39 points, and who knew Deonta Foreman could throw together a 31-point performance with 3 rushing touchdowns and 118 yards on the ground. So I thank you for that. So I get the certified beefer of the week. Lowest scoring team, well, that was the White Knucklers at 95.2 points. That's not going to cut it. Better days ahead for the White Knucklers. MVPs, week 8. Well, we had Alvin Kamara at 42 and the aforementioned Christian McCaffrey at 42. Biggest bench performers, Chris, you're down there, man. You benched Justin Fields with a 30-point week, and Gavin also with a quarterback benching Tua at 35.18 points. Who else does he have on the team, though? He's got Jalen Hurts, so don't feel too bad about him. He scores points one way or another. Consensus fab pickups. Chris, you got some explaining to do. It seems like you dropped $10 on Odell Beckham Jr., and I'm pretty sure he doesn't play football.
Yeah, I pulled a Trevor there. Trevor drafted him, and I tell you what, I was sick and tired of rolling with 3 quarterbacks, so I dumped the beloved Sunshine Trevor Lawrence, and I'm rolling Herbert and Fields, and quarterback is my biggest question mark now, so I think Fields is going to have a great second half fantasy-wise, averaging over 60 yards rushing last 3 weeks. Love that, but the waiver wire sucks, and I'm just picking up a flyer here. That's the explanation I got. But, guys, we did have a death in the Moose Knuckle Fantasy Football League this week. And so condolences to Matt Orzelik's nutsack. He got snipped on Wednesday, boys. Vasectomy. Wacha! No more kiddos for the Orzelik clan. So congratulations on that, on a successful vasectomy, Orzelik.
Man, the baby curse or help, it's just not going to help Orzelik anymore, man. There's no chance of it. So
no more baby bump for Orzelik. Tony, I see your name on the free agent pickup here. You look like you swapped some QBs out on the waiver wire.
Had to, Russ does not cook this Sunday, so I had to go with someone else, and Andy Dalton is my pick. New Orleans. Like you said, man, the waiver wire is junk out there. But, I might have a nice little waiver wire claim in for somebody who was recently dropped.
I dare you to pick up Trevor Lawrence. That guy is shit. You can pay all you want for him, dude.
Well, it wouldn't be a fab pickup without me getting outbid by a waiver priority level when I tried to go $6 on the Minnesota defense, only to be ambushed by Team Skeet, who gets him for $6 with the higher waiver priority. So I went with the Tampa Bay defense. They go against LA. LA hasn't been moving the ball as well as seasons past. We'll see what happens with that. Any other pickups that kind of strike you guys? Isaiah Likely was out there with an $8 waiver pickup. Evan looks like he's going to be playing him against me this week with Irv Smith Jr. going down with an ankle injury. He's on the IR now for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I love that Isaiah Likely pickup, and that was before we found Bateman's out for end of season, so a lot more value there. I actually bet him last week to score a touchdown, like plus 350. So, I mean, I was all about Likely last week, but I got two nice tight ends myself in Dulcich, who I played against Reese, who's a Denver fan. So it was a nice sting, even though he took the W on the week.
Kevin picked up Jermichael Hasty. I think he's going to slide into that 2 slot down in Duval behind ETN, who's obviously off to the start that he is off to, finishing looking like a top 10 back the last few weeks. But I put in a bid for that, and I was outbeat by $1, so I do like that security blanket for Mr. Arway.
Okay, boys, no trades to speak of as yet, but we got a couple weeks to go there, so I'm sure there'll be some action to talk about in future pods. But for now, let's move on. And guys, we had some action here at the trade deadline, probably the most exciting NFL trade deadline in history. And I know there's quite a few to point out, both on your guys' respective teams, so I'll let you guys have the floor for those. I'll take the first one, though, with the one that I thought caught my eye the most. TJ Hawkinson traded in division to the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota receives Hawkinson, a 2023 fourth-round pick, and a conditional 2024 fourth-round pick. Detroit receives a 2023 second-round pick and a 2024 third-round pick. It's a messy one, but it's kind of a splashy trade for the Vikings. Unfortunately for Hawkinson, it's probably little change to his fantasy value. This move it was a move the Vikings felt like they needed to make with the loss of the aforementioned Irv Smith due to that significant ankle injury. Chris, I don't think you need to worry. This doesn't impact Justin Jefferson or Adam Thielen very much. Certainly benefits Kirk Cousins, I think. And the only other thing I have to note is for Detroit, some guy named Brock Wright is the tight end 1 on the depth chart.
Brock! No, but seriously, I love that for Hawkinson. He goes from a 1-6 Lions to the 6-1 Vikings, and the Vikings are for real. That's a great team. They're going to run away with this division. They were my divisional pick. Hawkinson plays for the winning franchise for the first time in his career. I expect him to be actually that number 2 option in that receiving game. He's going to overhop Adam Thielen. It's going to be Hawkinson up the middle.
Could be an interesting one, Tony. I know this was an exciting trade deadline for you as well. Chase Claypool traded to the Chicago Bears for a second-round pick. Claypool going to a team where maybe the passing volume isn't consistent. The Bears have the lowest passing rate in the NFL, but he has the opportunity to become a top 2 and maybe not 2 receiver for the team. So how do you feel the Bears look going forward, and what kind of value you think Claypool brings to the team?
And I love the move. And us as Bears fans, we want Fields to grow. This is just another piece to put in front of Fields. And the new organization there this year is saying, you're our guy. We want to develop you. Getting rid of some pieces, which I'll get into on the defense, and kind of flipping it for offensive pieces so he can become that guy. I love it. We lost Allen Robinson in the offseason, so this is another big body guy. Go up and get him. And I agree. I mean, he could be the one to Mooney's 2, and this is going to take some heat off Mooney so he can do what he did when Allen Robinson was there last year. So I think this is a much better offense. And, we're not hitting playoffs yet. We've got a lot more moves to go, certainly still rebuilding, but he's got 2 years left on that contract. So we'll see him this year and next year. Before we have to re-sign him or any of the like. But speaking to those two defensive pieces, we had to get rid of Robert Quinn to the Eagles, who was a fourth. He's an older veteran kind of guy. I think he had maybe this year or maybe 1 year left on his contract, so had to move him. But the biggest move was obviously Roquan Smith to the Ravens. Got a second and a fourth, I believe, for Roquan. So essentially, we got that second for Roquan, and then traded it for Claypool. So hey, I mean, we gave up ours, so maybe we dropped down a little bit in that. So I mean, overall, not a bad trade line for the Bears. What are you guys' thoughts?
Not a bad trade at all. And I'll jump over to the Pittsburgh side real quick because I think this is a big deal both for our boy, the Muth, Pat Fryermuth, and George Pickens. Both these guys likely receiving those vacated targets that Claypool is leaving. And I think that's a bump up for their fantasy stock rest of season.
Agreed. Yeah, I think Fields gets another weapon. That's great. He needs it because you're rolling out guys like St. Brown and Velus Jones as his options, and he needs a guy who's been around for a little bit in a winning franchise, and that's a very low risk trade. So I do like the Claypool pickup.
Are you saying you don't have value or confidence in Dante Pettis and Equinemius St. Brown going forward in fantasy, Chris?
I am definitely saying that. Not that I have faith in Chase Claypool or Darnell Mooney. The only person I have three people on the Bears. It's Monty, which if you guys heard Colin Collard this week, he forgot Monty's last name. He was calling him something else in that offense, and it was awesome. Herbert, which Herbert is like leading yards per carry. He's the future in the Bears backfield. And Fields. Like those are the three guys on that offense that are exciting for fantasy.
Yeah, but this opens it up. I mean, Equinemius, he's young. I think he'll develop, but he's not going to get up to, I think, Claypool or Mooney. But he's on that Mr. Universe diet.
All right, now let's take time to cover the remaining team in the NFC North. Here's what the Green Bay Packers did at the trade deadline.
Yep.
That sounds about
Dietrich,
right.
was that a fart? Was that a fart on your end, Dietrich?
That's about all that they took care of. Yep. So let's move on. Any other trade deadline stuff you guys want to talk about? I got a couple more here. I think the Nyheim Hines trading to the Buffalo Bills is really interesting with them getting Zach Moss back to the Indianapolis Colts. So Zach Moss seemingly kind of falling out of rotation there in Buffalo, and with Jonathan Taylor's ankle injury getting re-aggravated, this seems like Moss might have a chance to kind of grab those early down work, and that should Taylor miss some extended time, and that leaves Deion Jackson as the primary backup and likely pass catcher on third downs for the Colts. And for Nyheim Hines, he likely just instantly gets plugged into that passing down back. James Cook's value, gone in air, and no more James Cook. Maybe dynasty guys can hang on to him and hope for the best, but probably doesn't have any relevance this year in fantasy. And Chris, the PPR value for Hines should be there as a RB3 flex moving forward. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm as an owner, I think I like this move. I think he's going to go into a high scoring offense where he can be that third down back, and it's not like Devin Singletary is that great, right? So not that Nyheim Hines could be a 3-down back, but he should get some. He should get some action in a explosive Bills offense. So we'll see how it goes. I got to trot him out this week with Barkley on a bye, so he's my RB2 this week.
Nicely done. Tony, the Miami Dolphins did some RB shuffling at the trade deadline. They sent Chase Edmonds to the Broncos as part of a deal to acquire edge rusher Bradley Chubb, and they gave up a 5th-round pick to acquire Jeff Wilson. So there's more San Fran backfield pieces going over to Miami. Man, I know you and I both kind of had some high hopes for Chase Edmonds this year. And it looked great at the very early on in the season, but it fell off quite fast.
Yeah, he just was not the better back in that scheme. Maybe we'll see how he's used in Denver. And so, but if he was traded anywhere, Denver's not where I want him to go. So
No,
we'll see.
it's messy. It's unclear. Avoid if you can of the entire Denver backfield.
But at the same time, like they don't trust Melvin Gordon at all. So like if he comes in and looks all right, I mean he can get some touches in that offense. I think so. Should be interesting.
Which probably means it'll be all Latavius Murray. Who knows? It's just a big question mark for me in Denver, and unless you're desperate, try not to suit him up in fantasy. Maybe until we get some more clear definition of how that backfield looks going forward. And then our kind of favorite punching bag of the MFFL, Kadarius Toney, traded to the Kansas City Chiefs. Don't know what to make of that one either. Juju Smith-Schuster is likely to stay as the primary slot receiver. At least that's my opinion. And Marquez Valdes-Scantling, he signed like a $30 million deal with the Chiefs for 3 years. So I don't see him likely going anywhere. Probably the only guy that gets negatively impacted in the near future is Mecole Hardman. And I don't think many of you are starting him for fantasy implications. But he's probably the main guy his play time is in danger. So Kadarius Toney's more of a number 4 receiver if healthy. If healthy is the key phrase there.
This is like when Josh Gordon was on that team, and no one even remembered Josh Gordon was on the Chiefs. Like, this is this play. No one's going to remember that he's on the Chiefs. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
It's a long-term play because Juju's on a 1-year deal. I think Mecole Hardman might be on the last year of his deal too. So this is, they get Toney for 2 years. He's a first-round pick. Maybe he stays healthy and turns into something. So this is a lottery pick for Kansas City. So maybe it pays off, but it probably won't pay off for fantasy this season at least. Chris, I'll leave you the little bit of Jaguars news. Pretty random trade that happened where the Jaguars end up grabbing Calvin Ridley and signing him. So how does that make you feel? What do you think? What kind of impact does he bring to the team next season?
Well, listen, there's nothing wrong with Calvin Ridley. He's a great guy. He just likes a little gamble, right? And he bet on his team when he wasn't playing to beat the Jaguars in 2019, whatever year it was. So the trade value is good. I think he's definitely a number 1 wide receiver. It all depends on where he is mentally. If you remember, he kind of took a leave of absence to deal with some mental illness stuff last year when I drafted him with the 15th overall pick. So he was great for me in fantasy last year. But the big thing with Calvin is that the trade value is there for the Jaguars, though. It only turns into a second-round pick is if he plays the 2023 season, which he has to get reinstated in February, and B, he signs a long-term extension with the Jaguars. So if those two things happens, then they'll get their second-round pick. If he plays the 2023 season and doesn't, then it turns into a third. And if he doesn't even play, I think it's just a fourth. So it's a very low-risk play to get Sunshine as number 1 overall wide receiver. So next year, hopefully, we're rolling out Calvin. We're rolling out Kirk. And then we draft that Quentin Johnson guy out of TCU. And then that's going to be our wide receiving core next year. So no excuses for Sunshine anymore, this generational talent piece of shit. That's all I got to say.
If we keep using Trevor Lawrence's nickname as Sunshine, we're going to have to get the dub of Petey from Remember the Titans going, Sunshine. That is very necessary. Chris,
they should have beat Denver on Sunday. We watched that game. He threw a pick in the end zone. Like, how do they not beat Denver at home in London?
Broncos country, let's ride.
Yeah.
Fucking Trevor Lawrence is like riding his wife all night, baby. That girl.
You should have done some lunges in the aisle. I don't know,
dude. Fuck that, man. Like,
it was those high knees on the plane. That's what did it.
No way. I'm still mad. The Jaguars have lost 5 in a row now. They were looking great. I don't know, man. Top 5.
They have James Robinson in the back. No, they didn't. James Robinson was traded to the New York Jets for pretty much half a ham sandwich, Chris. So now you got JaMychal Hasty as the backup running back. That's got to feel good, right?
listen, shout out to Robinson, Rockford native, ISU alum. The trade made no sense. Like ETN is an injury waiting to happen. It could happen at any moment. The way he runs and cuts, right? Very low contracts, free agent at the end of this year. You get a 6th-round pick. Nothing sexy. I think it was a terrible trade.
You'd like to think there was a little bit more value out there for Robinson, but
Agreed.
Perhaps not. I don't know. It felt low to me, and Robinson just feels like a great depth guy, just a great depth piece, and a guy that you could probably have re-signed at a contract, a team-friendly deal. At least that's my opinion.
Agreed, because now it's like Jacksonville needs a running back because ETN cannot be a 3-down back because they're utilizing him right now for the long term of his career. He cannot.
Yeah, he needs to size up a little bit if he wants to be the every down carrier of the football for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I agree. It's a little sketchy, and JaMychal Hasty is definitely not the answer as your as your running back reserves.
Agreed.
I think that's enough of our silly trade talks. Tony, why don't you cover some injuries for us?
All right, I'm going to lead off with the two that dropped most recently today. And Rashad Bateman and Michael Thomas will now be out for the rest of the season. As a Rashad Bateman owner, I've probably been waiting 3-4 weeks now for his return. He recently re-upset it last week, and now he's out. But Michael Thomas, man, he has been like in and out for since the week 2, week 3. It's been a long time for them to finally call end of season on this. So certainly Michael Thomas owners are very frustrated with this news. What do you guys feel about that?
It's frustrating because he kind of looked like a value in drafts early in the year, and it took some attention away from Chris Olave too when he was on the field, which Olave looks like he's blooming into a bona fide star-studded wide receiver. So it's probably a little good for him in terms of more looks and more opportunities in the offense going forward. He seems to be just Andy Dalton's first, second, and third read on the field. He just looks to see if Olave's open, and even if he isn't, he's still chucking it. So it's a lot of value for him, and it's a bummer for Michael Thomas because this is what his 3rd year, and I think he's had like 10 catches in 3 years, in 3 seasons. It's a bummer. It's a buzzkill because he's an elite talent. Remember when he was like the number 5 pick in drafts just a few years ago, guys?
Dude, he holds the NFL single season record for catches in a season. Yeah, he had a Hall of Fame career projected, and now injuries have derailed that.
Yeah, that's awful, man. It's kind of like reminds me of guy from the Chargers, who we'll probably talk about here later. That was very injury prone, had a good couple years, and then now still can't get on the field now. So
he's not playing the rest of the year either. I know who you're talking about. Breaks my heart.
Yeah, exactly. But let's get into Cooper Kupp out of the LA Rams. He's dealing with an ankle right now. Did not participate in practice. You guys think he's going this week?
I think he'll suit up. Yeah. For my sake, as a owner of Van Jefferson, as a dart throw that I took a couple weeks ago and stashed him on the IR, maybe he's limited and Van Jefferson steps in with some much needed targets because you can't rely on Chris's boy Ben Skoranek very often. So we'll see if I think Cooper Kupp starts up. Maybe he's on a pitch count, but I think he'll be in the game.
Derrick Henry, Tennessee running back, foot. He was a limited participant in practice, so there's definitely a chance that he suits up. Mr. Jalen Waddle in Miami, he's got a shoulder injury. Full participation in practice, great to see. Likely participate in the game this week. Devontae Adams, just an illness, limited participate. So should be able to recover by game time. Mike Evans, also a limited participant with an ankle injury, and DeAndre Swift, again, Detroit running back, ankle, did not participate. I think this is more than rest, but yeah, I know. I had him back 1 week, and he's freaking doing great.
It probably doesn't make you feel any better, but I've been starting Jamal Williams in these weeks because, I've needed him. So,
and he did well with his return, didn't he?
So it's been, he still has a little bit of value even with Swift on the field. So
those are the two people in Detroit you want is both the running backs. They can squeak in the end zone, no problem.
Yeah. Mike Williams, ankle. We do not expect him to be on the field for a couple more weeks. Tyler
Jordan
Lockett.
Palmer, start him up.
Yeah. And
Palmer
Everett,
season.
man. Everett and Likely. We talked about Likely as a good pickup this week.
Everett's great. I think he's primed to give you consistent fantasy value at the tight end position, which is honestly just a wasteland. So anytime you can find just even like an iota of consistency, take it and run with it.
Yeah. I'll bring a couple more here. Tyler Lockett in Seattle, hamstring limited participant. Come down here. DK was also a limited participant, so not sure who Gino's going to be throwing to, but hopefully one of these guys makes it on the field this week. Your boy Alan Lazard, limited participant with a shoulder. Was he on the field last week, D? Do you think he makes it on this week?
He was not on the field last week. I think him and Christian Watson will both be back for Sunday against Detroit, which is great because that Packers offense looked they couldn't get anything going other than the run game with Aaron Jones. The passing game was non-existent. So getting Lazard back, and it sounded like for that Buffalo game, they had a lot of plays scripted up for Christian Watson in that game, and he went out with that concussion early, first quarter. And, a lot of the offense stalled after that for Green Bay. So good to get them both on the field. And, I'll be talking about the Packers later on in this very episode.
Just below that, Aaron Rodgers, limited participant with a right thumb. How severe is that?
He's been playing through it, but it seems like he's been regularly taping it up. You see him with the tape job in games. He talked about it on the Pat McAfee podcast a little bit. It seems like it bothers him a little bit in between plays, but, I think a couple weeks ago, it looked like there was a little bit taken off of the ball. Like it wasn't traveling as far or it had as much zip on it, but he says it's getting better by the week. So hopefully, he's unaffected for Sunday.
Yeah.
Speaking of Pat McAfee, do you see that the NFL is fucking with his podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not good. How are you going to fuck with Pat McAfee?
Remove the logos? I know. And he said he pays like something like $4 million a year or something for other ancillary just footage, right?
Just the footage. It's not the stills, it's the footage.
Yeah.
$4 million.
Someone suggested, why don't you just zoom in on the logo while it's running? Let's use that.
So what he's actually doing, I don't know if you guys saw, is that there's some guy on Reddit who like creates like these like funny logos that look like cartoons. Like for each matchup, he's using those and they're spectacular.
Good.
Just like, fuck you, NFL.
Yeah. Put it back to him.
Unreal.
NFL is not a proud sponsor of the Moose Knuckle Fantasy Football podcast. Fuck you, Goodell.
Yeah, suck it, Goodell.
Using all the logos right here. Big one, we got to mention Johnny Taylor did not participate in practice. We mentioned before. Look at that logo. Ooh. Does not look like he'll be in this week. Womp, womp, womp.
Tell you what, man. Next year, I am just betting that whoever Reese takes in the first round, I am just betting he's just going to have an injury-plagued season and just draft his handcuffed guys. Like in like the third round.
It never fails.
Never fails.
Sorry, Reese. I feel for you, man. That's a bad run you've had.
Two more I'll mention. Josh Palmer, the guy who should be getting up a lot of this work here in the Chargers offense, was out with a concussion, full participant though, so good to see. So he'll get back out there. And his brother, Keenan Allen, who I was alluding to before, out with a hamstring, I guess re-aggravated recently, did not participate in practice. So we could see more time and potentially season ending for him. Anything else you guys want to mention on the injury report?
We're recording this podcast on a Thursday this week. Actually, the game is going on right now as we speak. There is no Brandon Cooks out on the field because he has a wrist injury. Wink. It's actually just personal shenanigans that he's not out there on the field. But it's currently in the third quarter with the Eagles on top. No, nothing other than that. Thank you for not covering Deonta Foreman on the injury report. I think we're good. Let's roll into the locks of the week. Tony, who you got?
All right, man. I am taking Minnesota, who's given 3 points at Washington, and I think they'll cover this pretty easily. Minnesota's, trying to make this playoff push. They only lost 1 game this year, and it's not going to be the second game to Washington. So that's my lock.
Yeah, I touched on it already. My lock of the week is going to be the Green Bay Packers, getting things back on track. Packers are -3.5. I'll take that over Detroit. We got the wide receiver core getting healthy again, going to be back out there. I think Aaron Rodgers is not going to let this get out of hand. This is going to be we'll get a nice quote at the end of this one that'll be, said and then carry on for weeks. Classic run the table or relax. We'll get one of those, and it'll carry on for the rest of the season, bring them back into the playoff run. So this is where things start to get right again. Green Bay over Detroit.
Very, very lock of you. This is an easy one for me. Seattle on the road in Arizona, getting 2. Picking Seattle outright.
All right. Got confidence in our boy Gino, huh?
No, I have no confidence in Gino. I have confidence in Ken Walker III.
Nice.
I'll give you the bold one right off the bat. I could have even flipped either of these, but for whatever reason, the Rams are getting 3 on the road in Tampa Bay. I think I saw Tom Brady trick or treating with his motherless kids this week. So just playing double duty as being a full-time father, plus trying to play football. The mother just seems to not even be in the picture anymore. So Rams are getting 3 on the road. I like Rams outright.
Nice. So I will also take Rams +3.
Damn it. I didn't even see that, Tony. All right, dude, you go through yours. I'll give you an even better one to all our listeners out there.
Well done, Chris. As always, I will take my bold prediction, and it's the Sunday night game. I'm going to be taking Tennessee +12.5. What a line. Andy Reid, since the start of the 2014 season, he's gone 0-4 against Tennessee, even though his team was favored to win in all 4 of those games, and 2 of those 4 games were actually played at Arrowhead, like this week's game is going to be. So last year, in Tennessee, the Titans pulled off one of the most stunning wins of the year when they beat the Chiefs 27-3. I mean, they held the frickin' Chiefs to 3 points. So this is the tricky matchup for Andy Reid for whatever reason I don't understand. But can KC beat Tennessee? Certainly. But 12.5, I don't see it happening. So get Tennessee and their points. I think Tannehill is going to play, which is a huge factor here. So if he plays, I think they keep the score pretty close. Malik starting, I don't fully trust the rookie quite yet. So maybe I'll lean to Chris, and he'll do another Derrick Henry 2 TD game, and I'll ride with him on that.
Jaguars +1.5 at home against the Raiders. Josh McDaniels is an awful head coach. Jaguars need a win. I'm not picking them outright, but I'm picking them to cover at 1.5.
Perfect, man. Thanks for the pivot.
Even though your prediction wasn't really that bold, because I don't even they're getting 3.
They're getting 3, yeah, in Tampa Bay, so they're on the road.
Going from west to east.
Cooper Kupp's out, so
Allen Robinson breakout game.
Yeah, and they weren't able to move Cam Akers, so now this might be the makeup game. Get Cam Akers involved here.
Wouldn't that be something if Cam Akers became that guy the rest of the season?
No one's more of a fan than Cam Akers, currently on my bench.
Could be a Cam Akers game, Van Jefferson game. Somebody that we don't expect is gonna show up in that one.
So anyone but Allen Robinson?
No confidence in Allen Robinson.
Yeah, he's old, man. Get him out of here.
That guy's a bum.
I thought he played pretty well last week, right?
He's getting some more chemistry.
First week in 2 seasons that you're impressed with, Chris?
I mean, the week before the bye, 5 grabs, 60 yards and a touchdown. Last week, five grabs, 50 yards. So like nothing crazy, but he's getting the targets 6 and 7 the last couple of weeks. So
yeah, he's missing Trubisky for sure.
Yeah, remember those Blake Bortles numbers he was getting?
Yeah, you guys rag on Bortles, man. I think he caught 15 touchdowns with Bortles one year. 14 or 15.
I think you're right. He would kill for that right now.
Oh, yeah.
He has more touchdowns that one season than he has like the last 4 years combined. Poor guy.
But yeah, as Dietrich alluded to, we're recording this on Thursday night. So we could definitely get into a little live recap of what's gone on, transpired in the game thus far. Eagles were 13.5 point favorites going into the game. Over under were set at 44.5. And you guys, at halftime, it was tied 14-14. What was your take going into halftime?
Didn't see that coming. That was definitely, a pretty decent start for the Texans straight out the gate. And they've been able to keep A.J. Brown kind of limited. He did grab a touchdown, so it's saving me a little bit with about 14.5 points right now. But A.J. Brown only has 3 catches for 57 yards. So they're holding him intact right now. So we'll see where we're kind of about a minute and some change to go in the third quarter. So we'll see what comes of it. But no, the Texans came to play. They're not rolling over by any means.
Yeah, this sorry, Tony.
I was going to add just a minute ago, Rex Burkhead had a chance to get in, and that's my Rex Burkhead, but looked for that pass interference. I was like, fuck.
So the line of this game kicked off at 13.5. Philly giving that to Houston on the road, which is huge. And then Houston on the opening drive goes down the field and goes up 7-0. You're like, oh shit! So they're still covering, up by 4, but Eagles have the ball. So if they score here, I don't think they're going to cover. I don't think that 13.5 is going to cover with end of the third quarter right now.
I agree. Should have taken that dip in the cover as soon as Texans came out with that opening touchdown.
Should have bought that dip, Tony.
Should have bought the dip.
All right, guys. Well, we can talk about the Sunday night preview a little bit. The Tennessee Titans at the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are favored by still 12.5 points, and that is still the case on FanDuel right now as I look. The over-under changed a little bit. It opened up at 46.5. It's now down to 44.5. So the line has moved 2 points, which is a little surprising to me. That being said, we were talking about, or I was teasing Chris about the Derrick Henry 2 TD game. Chiefs have actually given up the 3rd fewest rushing yards in the NFL, so maybe this will be a game where King Henry gets slowed down a little bit, if that's even possible. I'm not really sure. Can you slow down King Henry? Well, to be determined. But guys, how do you see this game shaking out? Obviously, my bold prediction. I think Tennessee is capable of keeping it close, at least within that 12.5. What are your thoughts of how this shakes out?
Yeah, this isn't happening. Chiefs are not going to, the Titans are not going to cover. This is going to be a rout. Chiefs are just second best team in the NFL behind the Bills. This is a rout in Arrowhead. They give the 12.5.
Yeah, it's a good storyline, Dietrich, and some people just have other people's numbers in the league. It happens. No matter how good the Bears or the Packers are in any season, they're usually fighting pretty hard in games. But it's hard to go against the Kansas City Chiefs here. But I think Tennessee can cover 12.5. I'll take that. I would take 12 plus 12.5 Tennessee.
Let's go. Yeah, I certainly think it's possible. No, I think, Tennessee has a chance to own this division still, so they are still very much in this. They got a great team. King Henry looks like he's just getting into form, for the winter. He evolves into the Yeti, so, nothing stopping him. I'm Chris. I'm ready to ride with you on this 2 TD parlays, man. I'm ready. So let me know when you're good to go, and I'll throw one in right with you. So if it's not the Powerball, we can at least count on Derrick Henry getting 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, we do gotta get that Powerball. It's seen that it rolled again. But did you see there was like 12 tickets in Illinois that won at least $50,000?
Oh,
Someone like the Aurora Speedway got 59, like $50,000. Like just
that was gonna be my next question. Was it all gas stations?
I cannot confirm, but it seemed like majority was.
It was not online. I know that, Tony.
Yeah. I've been putting most of my money.
All right, guys. If you got nothing else to cover for Chiefs Titans, let's move on to the Monday night matchup. It's the Baltimore Ravens at New Orleans going against the New Orleans Saints. This opened up at Ravens -2.5. It is still at -2.5 with an over/under of 47.5. So a slight change there in the line. Chris, how do you see this one shaking out? Who do you like in the matchups here for fantasy?
Love Kamara, always do. And we're going to go with Lamar Jackson with a rushing touchdown. He hasn't had a rushing touchdown in a little bit. So I'm going to play the odds on that. So I would go Kamara touchdown, Lamar Jackson touchdown, Ravens to cover in a three-leg parlay.
All right. I like that.
Can you fuck with that, Bester?
I can fuck with it. I'll probably go, Bateman's out. He doesn't have as many tools to throw to. I probably see this being an under game. Definitely Baltimore covering. And screw it, man. Put Likely out there. You're going to get some good odds to score another touchdown this week.
Yeah, that's a good one. Jackson has passed for 1,600 yards and 15 tutties already. He's got 6 picks, and he's going to have to play without one of the most explosive receivers in Bateman, as he was placed on injured reserve on Thursday, like we mentioned. Guys, you kind of have to give it to Andy Dalton. The guy's been slinging it, and he's not afraid. He doesn't scramble much. He's just sitting in the pocket, and he's not afraid to chuck it. So I kind of like that in him. And Alvin Kamara has been turning it on with him as well. So there's some points to be had on this New Orleans side of the ball for fantasy purposes. So I think you can run with them, start them if you got them. I think the Saints have averaged like 400 yards of offense during Dalton's first these 5 starts he's had here. So it's been pretty smooth sailing if you're rolling with some Saints.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't he's back up to
Winston?
And isn't he available? They're calling Dalton the starter.
I think so. Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's capable of starting, but he's going to be backing up Dalton. Yeah, he's getting it done. I mean, call it what you want to call it. Andy Dalton's not a flashy quarterback, but he's got a great arm. He's always had a rocket arm throughout his time in the NFL, and he's looking Chris Olave's way. He's not afraid to look downfield, and he's keeping the Saints competitive. So I think he'll stay out there for the future, unless injury gets to him, because the guy is a statue out there in the pocket. So if you bring the rush, maybe that's a little scary for Dalton, but other than that, things look good. And with Mark Andrews kind of not being himself, limited with those shoulder problems, you know who's been quietly doing okay, and Orlic's been starting him week to week, is receiver Devin Duvernay. This guy's been doing all right, and he makes up some decent points if you got in special teams. So he's getting the yardage there. If your league allows you to sneak some points in there, Duvernay's plugged into the special teams as well. The guy's getting it done. Is it a sexy name? No, but he's had a okay floor of points week in and week out. That if you got the Lamar Jackson, you can stack them, and it's been working, especially for Orlik.
Well, unfortunately, Orsley's going against one of the better teams this week with Gavin, who's got Jalen Hurts and Dallas Goddard, and they're on the 6-yard line right now. So, not looking too great in his matchups this week. And Goddard just caught the touchdown. Sorry, Orzlick. 24 points for Goddard in that tight end slot. He's projected to lose by 24. What a rough Thursday night after getting your balls cut off.
Yeah, he is. Duvernay's the 31st wide receiver on the year. So, I mean.
No, it's not. It's not sexy, but he's serviceable.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're in a week where 6 teams are on bye right now with some serious playmakers. So it's if you can plug in, you can do a lot worse than plugging in a Devin Duvernay. That's for sure.
Yeah. He has better stats this year than Cortland Sutton, Deontay Johnson, Gabriel Davis.
Yeah, we got some big guys sitting out. I mean, we got who do we got on bye this week? We got Denver on bye. We got Cleveland, Pittsburgh. I mean, there's some playmakers out there. So yeah, folks are scrambling. I mean, I'm playing Evan this week. I'm having to start Alec Pierce again in the wide receiver role. I got Dawson Knox as tight end and going against Isaiah Likely that Evan picked up at tight end. So yeah, it's hard in the streets right now. He's got Mac Hollins in the lineup right now as his starting wide receiver 1 right now. So that'll tell you that it's hard. It's hard in fantasy football this week. I don't know why the NFL does this to us, puts all these teams together on a bye like this. This is cruel and unusual punishment.
Apocalypse, man.
100%. Barker's bets is in full effect as it is every week. We're gonna need some. I'm gonna load up my FanDuel app right now. So is Tony.
Yep.
Tell us what we need to do.
I got money to spend here, man. Don't make me spend it the wrong way.
And they go for 2. They're up 12. Jalen Hurts, Orsley's just getting dogged right now. I had a 5-leg parlay, guys, that I missed 1 leg on it last week that would have won me big money, and I didn't even tell you about it. But I had Derrick Henry anytime touchdown, Barkley anytime touchdown, Kupp anytime touchdown, Diggs anytime touchdown. The only guy who didn't get a freaking touchdown, Justin Jefferson. That was $15 for $600. So I was pretty pissed off when I missed that, and I missed that at the 12 o'clock game. So the rest of them didn't even matter because they were all later games. But
man.
Fitting, guys, it's the guy on your team too that doesn't score.
100%, right? That's just how it is. Justin Jefferson he's just not getting in the end zone this year, which he's still a top 7 wide receiver, but not getting a 6 is not great. So I'm going to bet him this week. Justin Jefferson, 2 touchdowns against Washington. Tony thinks it's going to be a rout anyway. Someone's got to score. Hawkinson's probably going to suit up, but just play a little, decoy route. So Madison got a touchdown for the Vikings last week. Cook got a touchdown last week for the Vikings last week. Some bozo on the Vikings got a touchdown last week. I don't even remember who it was. But Justin Jefferson did that. Justin Jefferson's getting 2 this week. That's it.
That's all? That's all for Barker's bets, huh?
That's all I got.
Seems a little light this week, but we'll take it.
What do you got, Dietrich's bets? What do you got?
Well, what I got is I'll give you another spicy, bold take. I think the Carolina Panthers can keep things interesting. I think Deontay Foreman can grab himself a tutty. I got to look at the passing yardage for P.J. Walker because he seems to be another guy that's not afraid to air it out. And Tony, our boy DJ Moore, starting to kind of come alive here in the middle of the season here. He might be able to, turn this season around and be a little productive for people on their fantasy teams.
See, I wasn't crazy. It just, he was behind that. I don't know if you've seen.
He's a late bloomer.
Baker Mayfield, there was a meme of him throwing to the basket in the corner of the end zone and totally missed. And this guy was walking in the corner of the frame, almost hits the guy, and he looks back just like, what? Yeah, don't put him back on the field.
I missed that meme of Baker Mayfield, but they had one today of him lining up as a defensive end. I don't know if you guys saw that one. So they're like, Baker Mayfield's career is officially over.
Oh no.
Oh my god. That's awful. Okay, as of today, DJ Moore is the 25th wide receiver on the year. He can make it to 6.
I think he's top 15. I think he can get top 15.
He's got time for top 15?
He can still be top 6, Tony. I believe.
All right. So I got to ask, are you guys right now, are you leaning towards buying or selling at the trade deadline?
Well, I'm still very much feeling kind of comfortable with the team because you are sniffing the back end of the playoffs right now, and I'm only one game out from where your record is right now. So
Agreed.
I'm not selling quite yet, and if I can sneak a little win in against Evan this week, who's absolutely ravaged by bye weeks, and he's trying to piece together a team. If I can sneak one in, I feel like I'm in a position that I might be able to make a run. If it doesn't work out, well, then maybe I'll start looking to see if anybody wants a couple of my playmakers for some draft picks. I do have Christian McCaffrey, who's just absolutely balling now on the 49ers. That's one trade we didn't end up covering, but he did end up getting the trifecta last week. Rushing touchdown, receiving touchdown, and throwing a touchdown. That hasn't happened since the great LaDainian Tomlinson back in 2005, boys. So that's the only time that's happened in NFL history. Good company to be in with LT.
For sure.
Myself, I definitely need to stay on the bottom, right? So it'll either be a hold or a sell for me. I'm not going for any championships this year. So we'll see where I'm at here when we near the deadline. But I think I have some pieces I could get rid of.
I think you do too, Tony. I've looked at the roster. Yeah. I want Tony Pollard, but I think he's going to cost some cheddar from me. So not interested in entertaining that yet. But I want Pollard.
Yeah, cheddar rounds. It's going to cost something.
A little bit of both. Yeah.
Yeah.
DQ blizzards, everything. Got to roll out the red carpet for Tony Pollard.
No issue on DQ Blizzard. As for me, I'm sitting at 5th. I'm playing Zach, who's sitting at 4 this week. And I got Gavin next week, and he's sitting at 3rd. So if I win the next 2 weeks and beat them, I will be a buyer at the trade deadline. If I don't, I'll have to play it by ear. But it just comes down to the next 2 weeks, and I have to win.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. The moods and the emotions might be a lot different in next week's episode, so you're gonna have to tune in to see where things go.
Guys, I thought we had another 3-week vacation. What the fuck? We're doing this next week too?
See, there's a little something we like to call consistency, Chris. We got to give the people what they want. What they want is more fantasy football coverage. They want to hear about this pointless Moose Knuckle League. Got to give the people what they want.
Fortunately, guys, I am going on actual vacation and will not be able to record this from the sunny Clearwater Beach.
Ooh, must be a Scientology meeting for Tony down there.
Oh, yeah, nothing but Scientology and Mai Tais.
No
better combo than that. And on that note,
no, Clearwater is sick. I love Clearwater, Florida. It's an awesome area. I'll say, are you just going down there with the missus or the kids too?
Oh, well, we're starting in Disney World, so 3 days of that first with my family, my 2 sisters, entire families, and mom and dad. So, woohoo!
Gotcha. I was gonna say there's a decent little restaurant that'll text you for Clearwater for you guys.
Oh, please do.
If you guys need oysters.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude.
All right, I got you.
We'll get a babysitter.
I got you.
Because oysters are an aphrodisiac.
There it is.
All right, DJ,
Mai Tais.
Dude, I call Mai Tais and oysters as my new fantasy team name instead of cranberry cheddar sausage. Because cranberry cheddar sausage is not an aphrodisiac.
Sure isn't. Not when you eat it with 14 other men.
Yeah, not quite. Not quite.
Dijak, who are we getting a sub? Who are we getting as a third next week? We going Saros? We going Mr. Pagel? Who we enlisting?
We'll have to let the people sit on ice, patiently waiting to see who we'll get as our guest for next week's episode. We got a couple of good options. And if you're going to take that team name, I think I'm going to take My Ties in Scientology as my team name.
Love it. How about this? Whoever listens to the podcast and hits us up first is the person who's going to sub in for Tony next week.
I like the way you think.
Love it.
All right, guys. On that note, I thank you everyone for tuning into the Moose Knuckle Fantasy Football Podcast. Let us know how we're doing. Leave a comment. Whatever app, whatever device you're listening to, be sure to like, subscribe, follow. Just hit the button. Whatever button's there, just hit it. Wherever there's a comment box, leave a comment down below. We'll tune in and react accordingly. So for myself, for Chris, for Tony, thank you all. Good luck on your matchups. Peace out.
Peace.